Welcome back to Eye of the Beholder, where we look at 20 years of Dungeons & Dragons and miniatures from the inaugural 2003 Harbinger set through the 2023 Seas and Shores. After finishing up with the chromatic dragons in our last video, we turn to the metallic dragons. The original 5 metallics, the brass, bronze, copper, gold, and silver, first appeared in the OG Monster Manual. We'll be starting with the brass and bronze. Small programming note, I was not happy about the video quality of the green, red, and white dragon videos, so I deleted them and reposted with higher resolution. So if you started watching them and quit because they look like crap, take another look. Brass dragons, with their distinctive triangular wings, are chaotic but good beasts that prefer an arid environment. Considered by far to be the most gregarious of the metallics, brasses are more likely to talk you to death than attack. However, like all dragons, they are formidable in combat, with the ability to breathe fire or, the preferable way of dealing with conflict, a cone of sleeping gas. Where you wake up is entirely dependent on the brass's sense of humor.
We get our first brass dragon in the second WotC set, 2003's Dragon Eye. And wow, WotC gets a lot of mini on a medium base. More orange than brass, with dark highlights on the wings. This mini is standing tall, wings swept back and head drawn to the side. There's some nice detail on this for an early mini. Note the scaling on the body and neck. Great first effort. Score: Paint 17, Pose 19, Playability 18, Pizzazz 20 for a score of 74. Four years later, WotC gives us a true brass-colored dragon in 2007's Unhallowed set. Called a large brass dragon, this mini is monochrome brass with a dark wash that highlights the detailing. Pose looks almost cat-like to me, with its right foreleg raised inquisitively. This mini also gives us our first really good look at the brass dragon's distinctive head, with a bony plate extending like small wings to either side of his head. Score: Paint 17, Pose 15, Playability 21, Pizzazz 18 for a score of 71. When WizKids took over in 2014, they decided that their first special release would be this gargantuan brass dragon. Right off the bat, compared to WotC's gargantuan chromatics, he comes off a bit tinier than those minis. Part of that is no doubt due to WizKids mounting this dragon on a ridiculously narrow stand. Thank God they got rid of these in future sets. Color is fine, but again, a bit underwhelming for a special release mini. All that being said, it's still a pretty cool mini. The in-flight pose really captures the uniqueness of the brass dragon's wings. Score: Paint 17, Pose 21, Playability 20, Pizzazz 23, for a score of 81. A year later, we get our next brass dragon in 2015's Elemental Evil set. We actually get a two-tone paint job on this one. The bright brass with a silvery underbelly is a really good look on this mini. Another pose mounted on the hated skinny stand, but with a twistiness that to me looks like he's pivoting in midair, twisting back upon his tail to bring to bear his fangs, claws, and breath weapon upon a hapless foe. Nice wings, too. Score: Paint 21, Pose 20, Playability 14, stupid stand, Pizzazz 20, for a score of 75. We get our final brass dragon mini in 2017's Monster Manual 2, and it's a Wyrmling. This mini has a deeper metallic color than the previous ones, especially on the outer wings. Pose is nothing special, but I do like how well the wings are displayed. Also note the slight head tilt, a definite callback to the brass dragon's inquisitive nature. I see this mini sitting at the feet of his elders, listening raptly to their stories. Score: Paint 18, Pose 16, Playability 16, Pizzazz 18 for a score of 68.
Bronze dragons are curious and inquisitive and are the most likely to associate with humans, which they do with their ability to alter their form into any animal or humanoid at will. They also have a strong sense of right and wrong and will go out of their way to help weaker creatures. Bronzes enjoy the coast, as they are excellent swimmers, oftentimes having the entrance to their lair underwater. Fun fact, bronze dragons are the most likely of the breeds to socialize, so finding a swarm of bronze dragons is not that unusual.
Unfortunately, our first bronze dragon mini is this sad little bronze wormling from 2004's Giants of Legend set. The bronze color of this mini looks more like a shiny brown to me, and the pose is standard dragon fare with little to no details to remark upon. To quote Rufus from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, they get better. Score: Paint 9, Pose 12, Playability 11, Pizzazz 7, for a score of 39. See? Told you. This large bronze dragon from 2006's War Drums set is light years better than the previous one. While its color is still more brown than bronze, we do get a little color variation from the body to the wings. The pose has the head of this bronze turned 180 degrees, perhaps reacting to a threat from behind. Wings are nicely displayed, as is the frilled tail. Definitely playable. Score: Paint 13, Pose 18, Playability 18, Pizzazz 16, for a score of 69. WizKids gives us their first bronze dragon mini in the inaugural set, 2014's Tyranny of Dragons. As is their wont, we get another mid-flight mini on the thin stand. Kudos to Wizards for actually getting the horn configuration correct, 3 on each cheek and 1 at the top of the head. I also like how all 4 limbs are spread out, along with the cupping of the wings. It seems to me as if this guy is coming in for a landing. Paint is monochrome but correct. This is our first truly bronze-colored bronze dragon. Score: Paint 20, Pose 22, Playability 22, Pizzazz 21, for a score of 81. Our final bronze dragon came out a year later in the Elemental Evil set. Paint is basically identical to the previous mini, so let's talk about the pose. Slightly smaller than the previous mini, this one is mounted on a unique stand which bends 90 degrees and attaches to the back of it. This allows for this bronze to be depicted perpendicular to the ground as if hovering, which I'm not sure bronze dragons can do. Still cool though, so the score is Paint 20, Pose 23, Playability 19, Pizzazz 17, for a score of 79.
And that's it. We're done for now. We'll be tackling the copper dragons on our next video. Thanks as always for watching Eye of the Beholder, and please feel free to leave a comment below.